Well, hello and welcome to Knife Delights. It's another Saturday chat. We got a special edition here today because I have a very special guest, a good friend, Jerry from Big J's Knives, and we are going to talk about Western Cutlery. We're going to show some Western knives and talk about the company history because it is very fascinating history. So, Jerry, welcome to Saturday Chat.
Thanks for having me. I did this with you previously. We had a great time, and I think you've been on Happy Hour Live Chat a couple of times now.
Yep.
So,
Instead of saying welcome, I should say welcome again, right? Yeah,
yeah,
we had a
definitely a fun time.
fantastic time. Fantastic time. For the viewers that didn't know, I was fortunate enough to actually meet Jerry in person. I have some in-laws and outlaws that kind of live down in his area, and we was able to hook up one Saturday afternoon and had a fantastic time. And what kind of got us started on the Western cutlery and Western knives is on my way down on the trip down to see Big J and to visit the in-laws and outlaws. I stopped at a pawn shop and I got this Western knife here, and it is model W66, the W standing for the wood. And we were trying to identify it, and we got to talking about it. And I won't spoil it. I'll turn it over to Jerry here in just a minute. But we believe this was at the time believed this was part of a set, and Jerry's kind of confirmed that because Jerry has scored a big score with some Western cutlery. So, Jerry, I just want to turn it over to you and show us
Okay.
what you found.
Well, I work with a guy. There's a gun shop closing down it's between two areas close to me, and um, the owner unfortunately passed away, and his wife's trying to come in and unload some stuff. So a buddy of mine at work stopped there, and he saw some Western knives, and me and him were talking about hatchet knife combos one day. And I said, "Well, Western and marbles. There's a few companies that made them." And he was fortunate enough to run into two combo sets and then three knives, so five total sets really. All of them come with the sheaths and everything. And he invited me over to his house. He actually texted me. I was leaving work. He said, "Hey, stop by." So I stopped by, and he had them all laid out. And I said, "Well, what you want? What are you wanting to do with them? Do you want? Are you looking to restore them? Are you looking to just clean them up?" He said, "Well, I don't know nothing about them really. If you want some, you can buy them." And he had five, like I said, five sets total. And I did, and I know what he gave for them. And I'm not going to keep it a secret. He gave $150 for all of it. And
Wow.
he said, "I just want to keep one of the sets." And one of the sets was W66 here, like Tom has. Now I did some dating on this, and this was actually made between 92 and 2007, just by the look of the Tang stamp, and it's hard to see it because there is a lot of patina on this. But Camillus actually owned the company in that time. They bought the company, I believe, in 91 or 92, and they started manufacturing these. And here's the hatchet to come along with it. Now, unfortunately, the hatchet doesn't have a Tang stamp. It just has the number two on it, which I thought was odd. And I haven't been able to do it. Is hard finding information on this stuff. But I dug in, I found some old catalogs and stuff. It's just hard to get through without paying for them. But here's the hatchet that goes along with that knife. And he wanted to keep this one, and I bought all the rest of them, and I just gave him his money back. I paid $150 for the other four pieces. Well, actually, five in total. So, yeah, we're just kind of going to look at these today. Now, this one does need just an old fashioned cleanup. So, and I believe, Tom, the one you have there is a Boy Scout model, if I'm not mistaken.
I've got, yeah, I do have. Oh, that's gorgeous. What a set.
Yeah, but what made him want to keep this is because he seemed to think these two pieces matched. And I really don't know, and I can't really tell because you just don't know what people have had and kind of threw together. Um,
Right.
but there's the set, and
That's
that's
how that's how they were advertised. Yeah.
yeah. And he was keeping that's the set he wanted to keep, and he just sold me the rest of them for what he had in them, which I thought was a pretty good deal with me not knowing anything. I just bought them on a whim. I didn't know much about them, and I just decided to go ahead and purchase them. And then I started doing some research, and I started sending you kind of the stuff I was finding. Um, a big thing that you spoke about in a video that you did was the double pinned. You see how you got the 2 pins? It's hard to see it.
Right.
You have 2 pins there in your pommel. Well, this one here is an older knife, and it doesn't even have USA on it, but what it's got is Boulder, Colorado. Western, Boulder, Colorado. It's a 3 line, and then the patent number. Well, I just Googled that patent number, and what I found was the actual patent for that and why it's a double pinned.
Right.
It is actually in the patent number. I'm going to say this for everybody: 1.967.479. And the patent is for the
Bifurcated. It's bifurcated.
bifurcated thing secured always with 2 pins at the pommel. And I just thought that was so interesting.
Just think of it as a tuning fork. You know,
Exactly.
It's split. Yeah, like a tuning fork there.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's coming in pretty good right there.
So,
So
Big J, I normally don't edit my Saturday chats, but this is a little different. So I'm going to take some of these pictures and stuff that we've got, and I'm going to edit those in so people has a reference.
Yep.
And as you're watching, if you want to study it, you can hit pause and study the diagrams and stuff, because we got a lot of great information. Now, you know, I'm a history buff and I have history delights too. So sometimes knives and history, you know, the two interests of mine combine. And what I found out about Western cutlery, you know, we can go way back into the 1800s. You had a man by the name of Charles W. Platts, and he came over from England, and he worked with the American Knife Company and what else? Another knife company, and then he ended up running Cattaraugus Cutlery, and then his son got involved, and his son, I think, was working there. All of his sons worked in the cutlery business, and this is where this knife history gets so fascinating, because this is where the Case brothers and the Case knives came into it, because they started working with cutlery. So I'm going to fast forward here just a little bit because it gets real complicated.
Okay.
But it was one of the Case sisters that married one of the Platts, and his name was, I think it was Charles. Let me make sure I.
Because wasn't it C.W. Platts?
No, it was H.N. H.N. is the one that married the sister.
Okay.
And they're the ones that moved out to Boulder. Debbie Case was her name.
Okay.
Let me get this now. Yeah, they moved out west, and he started a cutlery business called Western States Cutlery and Manufacturing Company.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about Platts Brothers Cutlery Company too. I mean, there's all this stuff intermingled. That's what makes it so complicated. So that's basically the beginning of Western.
And that was 1911, right? Was that 1911 when they actually started the actual company?
Right. And then in the 1940s, H.N. Platt decided to retire, and he passed on to the duties onto his sons Harlow and Reginald. They worked together till 1950, and then in 51, the business was reincorporated, and a new name was given to the business, Western Cutlery Company.
Okay.
So we can kind of fast forward through all of that, and then, they also made Westaco was a brand, a budget brand, and Westmark was a brand.
And Westaco was the budget, and Westmark was the high end, is what I'm seeing.
Exactly. So during the 80s, stamping began to include the model number, a trend that continued under Camillus ownership. Now, in 1984, that's when Coleman, Coleman Camping, Coleman Stoves, Coleman bought Western, and they owned it from 1984 to 1990. And that's where you see some of the Coleman Western tang stamps. And then after that, as you said, Camillus bought them out, and Camillus made them.
Well, I'm going to show something. This little snap right here.
Let me bring you up on the big screen here.
I'm already on the big screen. You never took me
Oh,
off.
you are? Okay.
So this actually has Coleman on the stamp. It's got
Right.
Coleman Western on the snap of that. So I just thought I'd show that real quick while you were talking about that.
Yeah, great. And again, I'll try to put some of these pictures of the tang stamps and stuff in.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. This was, well, they started putting like a letter, like an A for 1977, B for 78. This one does not have the letter on it, so I believe it's pre-1977.
So it just has Western and then USA, correct?
It has Western USA on it.
So
and then the
61
model number W66 is stamped down on the top of the guard there.
Yeah, so that should be a 61 through 77.
Right, I think that's what it is.
And I actually have kind of the same, well, similar, but.
Right. And now I do have another 66 model. As you can see, they're both 76 models. But this one says, well, I can't quite read it. But
Western, this is an older Colorado, correct?
Yeah. So this is an older one. The model number is not down in the guard there, but this one is an official Boy Scout knife.
Oh,
so this
yeah.
would be an L66, L for leather. And this one is actually not mine. This is on loan to me from my brother.
Man.
So, yeah. Now, on this one, you can really see those pins. They're pretty prominent there. So you had one pin going through this way, through one part of the bifurcated tang, and then you had another one that goes all the way through on that side. So that's why there's two. And you can see here, and I think I got a diagram on how they I always found it interesting how they did the half leather, spacers on handle on there, so you could actually see the knife handle there.
And one thing I noticed about that exposed tang, like you just showed on yours,
right?
Seems like the pitting and the teeners, you should say, get really bad.
Yeah.
Around that compared to your blade. You see how it starts? This is one I haven't touched yet. I did clean the other three I have, but this one I just didn't have time.
Right.
But this right here is also, this is a the L39, L for leather, and then you like you said, you got the model number here in your guard, and then Western Bowler Colorado USA. It says on the stamp. So,
can you show that horizontal again? I'd like to take a good look at that blade. Is that it's an upswept blade? Is that an upswept blade?
I'm sorry, my sound went off there real quick. What can you repeat
that last knife you had? If you could just hold it up there again, I'd like to take a look at that blade shape. So yeah, that is an upswept, almost a Persian style blade.
Yep, it's a 5-inch blade, and I did some research on this, and in 1948, this knife sold for $3.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's definitely worth it in my book. So yeah,
Well, you think about this, so let's put that in perspective, Jerry. So that cost $3. My dad got his first job approximately in that time period. He got paid 50 cents a ton for every ton of coal he unloaded off the train.
Oh, yeah.
So it took him several hours to unload a ton. So if you take the amount of hours worked, so if you take someone making $20 an hour now times 6 hours, let's say, that's $120. So,
Sure.
that was an expensive knife.
Yeah. Yep. And the sheath. I don't know if all these are original because she just had them and kind of laid them out, and he kind of had to put the sets together and the sheaths and stuff. But this is the sheath that came with the knife. Now I don't know if it's original. There is no stamping on it whatsoever. And like I said, I did as much research as I could in the little time we've had. So I really
Okay.
haven't even
If you could,
dove into the sheaths.
if you could hold that sheath up again and show the front of it,
Yep.
because it has some like oak leaves on it.
Yep.
That is a Western style sheath.
Okay.
They had that brown with the like the oak leaves on it.
Yeah.
So conversely, and I'll show my sheath that I have for that W66.
Okay.
This is not the correct sheath for it. Okay. But if you look at the button on there, it does say Western on it.
Yes.
So this is for a Western knife. It's just not for this one.
Yeah.
So is one of your knives bigger than the 66 model that maybe this one goes to it?
I got the next I have laid out here is a W88.
Can I see that one?
Yes, sir. And it is very similar to a Marbles Woodcraft.
Right. Yep.
And I just cleaned this. I didn't do any like hardcore cleaning to it. I just really just kind of cleaned it. And again, you can see the double pin. And this one, if we look at the guard, Western USA W88 is what it says right there. There is no official Tang stamp because this is pulled clean out that far.
Right.
But this is just a beautiful. It's a beautiful knife.
That wood is just shining, isn't it?
Yeah. Here's the sheath that he put with it. Now there is no Western marking on it or the snap like some of them, but what I can tell by how it fits and everything, it seems to be the correct sheath for it, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, because that's a pretty wide blade, and I don't think the one I have would fit it because it's too narrow of the sheath.
And by what I'm looking at on the paperwork I got is on how that stamping is in that guard, I'm guessing it's a 61 through 77 model, but again, I'm not 100% sure. I just have this. I got these Tang stamp kind of things printed out to kind of go off of.
Right.
But it does have the Western USA, stacked, and it just has the model number below it like it is showing for 61 through 77. So
yeah, I think that's when they put those on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hey, I may have got one right.
I think so. Of course, when you're dealing with history, Jerry, you think you have it down, and then you run across something else that kind of contradicts it. So I always try to tell everyone, do your own research. Don't take what I say as gospel, because we try to responsibly research this stuff and get the correct information. But I'll tell you a story, a quick one here. My dad and I used to restore old Alice Chalmers tractors.
Yeah.
So my first tractor my grandfather bought when my dad was a child was a WC, and it was the old flat top. And Dad said that the front rims on that tractor were black. So there is an argument and an ongoing discussion within the Alice Chalmers community. Should those front rims be painted black, or should they be painted Persian orange, just like the rear rims and the rest of the tractor is painted? Well, there's no answer to it, because guys that have really researched Alice Chalmers said that, one, Alice Chalmers never kept records of what got painted what, and two, they subcontracted those rims out. So it was probably, if they came in black, that's what they put on the tractor. If they had time and extra paint, maybe they painted them orange. And so some of the tractors came with orange rims and some came with black. But if you want to fire people up on whether those rims should be black or orange, there you go.
That
And
black
it's the
paint's
same
cheaper.
way. It's the same way with knives. A lot of these companies did not keep any records. They
Yeah.
weren't worried about collectors markets. They were worried about selling their knives, and they didn't keep good records.
And selling them as tools, working tools, is what they
Yeah,
were selling them as. They weren't selling them as, oh, this is going to sit on top of a box in a guy's tool chest like they do at my house. So
right, right. So, if anyone has more information on Western knives, now I know I do have a viewer, a subscriber, a big supporter. He's really into the Western knives.
okay,
He sent me a picture of some of the knives that Western made for World War II, and they produced a lot of military style knives too.
yeah,
Now,
I love
I don't
researching
know.
stuff.
I don't know if they actually had a government contract or not. So you have to differentiate between the two. There were several companies that actually had a government contract, but there was others, and maybe Western kind of falls into this category. They just sold them and people bought them because, a soldier deploying overseas, he might get a furlough before he deploys, and he might have went to the local hardware store and bought his own.
Sort of like a
So
buck 10 on a Navy ship.
what's that?
It's sort of like a buck 110 that gets put on a Navy ship and they start
Exactly.
fighting and they pull it
Yeah.
out.
Well, and Buck, they never had a military contract,
Yeah.
but being there in San Diego, they sold a lot of Buck knives to sailors.
Yeah.
The fixed blade, what we would consider the Buck 119 special for one, even though they didn't have model numbers, stamped on them at that time. But that's basically in 42, I think, when the 119, as we know it, was first produced. So
Okay.
they sold a lot of knives to the military, even though they didn't have a contract.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought that was really interesting on how the buck 112 got started. Was
Oh,
due
it
to a
is.
fight on a ship. I never knew that until like a year ago. I was just
Yep,
doing
because they
research.
didn't want a blade over 4 inches, so they made it what 3 3/4, whatever it is, and they named it the Ranger because supposedly that fight had started on the Ranger.
Yeah.
So, and the Ranger was in port or something like that, so they named it after the USS Ranger.
Very interesting. Crazy. But I got a couple more here.
Well,
I'll,
let's see them.
and I'll save the one that I think is the coolest for last. And but this one right here, this next one is just a beefcake. Um, I gotta get my paper because again, I'm not so well versed in these quite yet.
Right.
This is a 1986 W36J. Now this thing
Okay.
is over overall length is 10 inches. Blade is 5.5 with like a 5-inch cutting surface or cutting edge.
Right.
Again, you got the double pin here. Beautiful wood, and we know it's an 86 because it has a J. And again, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a J
Yeah, we
in
can't
there.
quite make it out, but
Yeah. And like you said, in 77, they started A, B, C for each year. And, you know, but just look at this thing. And again, I just hit it with some flits, cleaned it up. I think this knife is perfect the way it sits. And I
and
thought, I thought I got a knife similar to this. And
yeah,
look at the blade stock on this.
that's thick, isn't it?
Yeah, compared to the other ones, vary. And I thought, well, I got a Marbles Expert that feels similar to this, but if we look at the two, look how much bigger the Western is than the Marbles.
Oh
Kind of
yeah.
very very similar blade design, but this is just a beefier, heavier knife, and it's got that double exposed tang, whereas this is probably just like a rat tang, screwed in at the
Right.
back.
Yep.
So I thought that was
Now,
a good comparison.
do you know how long the blade is on that one?
On this one,
Yeah.
yeah, it's 5 inches, actually 5.5
Okay,
with a
hold on
5 inch
just a
cutting edge.
okay, do you have the sheath for that one?
Yep, sure do. It's the one that has the Western
Oh, okay.
Coleman in the snap. So there it is.
Okay, great.
Now, I don't know if these are again, he had to get all this stuff and kind of put it together and kind of do what he thought matched. And I
Well,
believe,
yeah. If
and this should be correct. I mean, because they sold to Coleman. Oh, I got it here somewhere. But
Yeah, I've got here. Coleman owned them from 84 to 90. So
okay,
an 86 would fall right in there. Yep.
so that makes sense that this Coleman is on the snap for an
Yep.
86 model knife.
Absolutely.
See, look, we're just doing it as we go, Tom.
There you go.
But this knife didn't look like this when I got it. You know, it took quite a bit of elbow grease to kind of get her to. And again, I just used elbow grease only. I just kind of hammered it with the flits and polishing and
Do
rubbing it
you
down real good. So
do you happen to remember what kind of wood this is on these knives?
I do not. Um,
That's something I need to, I guess, look up. But
yeah, I didn't even think of that till you just said something. It's
isn't it
beautiful.
gorgeous though when it
Yeah.
gets polished up?
Oh yeah. Once you clean it up, it just sparkles.
Yeah.
I was so amazed by getting these. Honestly, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Well, I happen to have my marbles knife out too, and this is the Woodcraft.
Can you put you on the screen? There
Yep.
you go.
There we go. This is the Woodcraft.
Yep.
I actually did a video on this for tomorrow for Sunday Stag because you can see the butt cap here is stag.
Oh yeah.
And I can't quite tell if the stag runs all the way down and then they did a leather wrap on it or if it's just, you know, the pommel there.
Yeah, I think they advertise them as pommel, you know,
Yeah.
stag pommels. So I don't know.
But this was, and of course, um, always point out Marbles was the first one to come out with stack leather handles. And this Woodcraft blade was actually the official Boy Scout knife for several years later on.
Oh wow.
But this one, according to my research, it was first designed in 1914 and started production in 1915. And if you can see on there, it says patent pending. So in 1916 is when you don't see patent pending on it because they got their patent.
Yeah.
So as best I can tell, this is from 1915.
Gotcha.
Uh, and but I don't have the sheath for it. But look at that jimping there.
Well, I know a guy who can make you a nice one.
Yeah, I sure know. You want to break that out and show everybody
Oh
that?
man.
Do you have that handy?
Yeah, I do. Um,
John
so
Solo there. Of
so here it is. Here's a
course,
sheet that Jo Ventures Outdoors made me for my marbles expert. And this is you know, I've had plenty of people help me date this, and they all say pre-World War II. Now, back like you said back then, they weren't really worried about dating knives and whatnot. So I just kind of got it. But the snap he did,
yep,
you know, this collar. He said it's not copper; it's just brass with a like a copper tone to it.
sure.
But look at the welt he put on that.
Oh, I know it.
I mean, there we go. That really shows it. So, guys, if you're watching this and you need a sheath or a knife slip made, go to Jo Ventures Outdoors and go to his bio. He accepts orders through his Gmail account, and he has his Gmail on the bio of his YouTube page. So go over and hit him up. He makes some great quality stuff. Here is a slip he made for a sodbuster for me. And that just looks like an old pair of dress shoes, don't it, Tom?
It sure does.
It's just beautiful. And just a great guy overall. You got a question, he'll pick up the phone and call you within 2 seconds and kind of give you a rundown on what you know, if you're interested in something or anything like that. But I definitely recommend hitting him up for any of your leather needs, along with the
Oh,
other guys.
John has done some wonderful work. He restored my dad's uh, sheath for his fillet knife. He did a wonderful job. Got stuff restitched and cleaned the leather and just oh man, he's just works wonders. Yeah,
Yeah,
John at Jo Ventures, absolutely.
yeah.
So Okay, what else do you have Western related?
Well, I've got a set here, and
Okay,
like I said, I kind of wanted to save the best for, or what I think is the best for last. And we'll start with just the sheath. So it's a knife hatchet combo, and we got Western in the sheath, and then you have Western Cutlery actually in the snap, not Western Coleman, but Western Cutlery.
yeah.
Both of these snaps still work good. Um, so look at that. So someone put this to use, and I'm going to say that they probably used it to process some whitetail or something, because when I got these had some gunk on them,
Yeah,
but it's the actual hatchet to come with it. Now, if we look, you got the Western Boulder, Colorado, and then that patent number.
that's one of the older ones.
So yeah, it's 35 through 50 is what I found.
Yep.
Now, when I was looking at these, he wanted to keep that other set, so I was like, I'll take this set. And this knife was with it, and it's got the same tang stamp. Now, the
Wow.
only difference is we look at the leather stacked spacers here, where these are kind of white and these are kind of more of an off-white or slash yellow.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is a true matching set or not, but in my eyes, I would assume that they are. I just don't know. And if we look to our guard here is, probably a stainless steel, where the guard on this one's brass. So again, I just don't know, Tom. I don't know if maybe this was rehandled at one time,
Well,
but
here's the thing though. If the hatchet is older than the knife, it could
yeah,
be that they made up a whole bunch of hatchets and they didn't sell them all right away, and every year they just used up their stock. So you
yeah,
could have a newer knife paired up with an older axe or hatchet at the factory.
yeah. Now another thing that is interesting is how thin the blade stock is on this knife.
Yeah.
And the hat, this is your work, this is your fine tuning.
Right.
Um, Compared, and I'll just pull up the last knife we showed that. So we look at the difference in the blade stock.
Yep.
Quite a bit of difference, huh?
Well, if you've got your axe with you, you're not worried about trying to, well,
Yeah,
you got your
and,
axe with, or
and what I
hatchet, I should say.
yeah,
Yeah.
and what is so cool is that matching tang stamp.
Yep.
Now, to me, I would assume, and I'm a dummy. I'm a self-admitted person who does not so smart things. I actually put these on a Facebook page that I'm a part of called Vintage Knives.
Uh huh.
And when I did, boy, the messages started rolling in. Ding, ding, ding. Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? Do you want to sell? I'll give you this. I'll give you this.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, and then I'm like, if you're getting messages 30 seconds after you make your post, you got something a little special, I think.
Yep.
Because again, I don't know much about Western knives. These are the first Western knives I've ever touched. And well, I think I may have touched some at a flea market maybe once, but these are the first ones that I've acquired. Let's just put it that way. And
Yeah.
I'm more than pleased with what I've got here.
And I was kind of familiar. I knew they made fixed blade knives, but they
Yeah,
also made folding knives too. They made
yeah.
slip joints,
They're in that catalogs. They're in those catalogs I sent you, actually. And you
and
can look
I've
at them.
I've never run across a slip joint made by Western.
I haven't either. And you know, another thing is, this. So we look at this sheath, and that knife is a little big. You know what I mean? Compared to the
Yep.
sheath. So you just don't know if maybe this was an aftermarket sheath or a sheath that went to maybe another set.
I
But
that's probably the right one.
but look at this, Tom.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm in love with it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? You pick up something, and when he said he wanted to unload all these four, and I just immediately said, "Hey, if you want your money back on what you gave for the five, I'll give it to you for the four." And he was more than pleased with that deal. And I actually yesterday on my way home, he didn't work yesterday, So I just texted because I had his set in my car and I kept looking down at it. And I'm like, I'm just going to try to buy it. So I sent him a message. I was like, hey, if you want to unload that, I'd be more than happy to take it off your hands. And he didn't. We had been talking about him hunting and what he needed
Sure.
and to bust through the pelvis and sternum area. And I actually recommend him getting a Bark River gunny, which he bought one. But then he ran into all these and he wanted to actually use that this year hunting. So he's wanting to keep it for that. So maybe after deer season, I'll hit him up again.
I think the combo sets are pretty neat. Again, I'll show you real quick. I had it out because I just shot my video for tomorrow, my Sunday stag video, just real quick. But this is by W. Klauberg
Oh man.
out of Germany. This is not my set. It belongs to my sister-in-law on loan from her. Her uncle owned this, and he was quite the outdoorsman, so it's hard to say what all he cleaned with this. But you got your full-size hunting knife here, and then your caper right there. So there's one. And then,
Tom, that popcorn stag on that.
oh, isn't that great?
Holy moly, man.
Yeah,
That's what I call it. I think I've heard it called that before.
yeah.
I don't know, but because it has
So,
that popcorn look to it.
right. So Klauberg was out of Solingen, Germany, and during the 60s and 70s especially, they were known for making a lot of stag-handled knives for the American market. So, there was a lot of knives exported by various companies out of Solingen with stag on it for the American market. Another knife that I have, and this is a Hammer brand, kind of the coffin handle, or not coffin handle, but what am I trying to say? Anyway, kind of the old Bowie knife design.
And now
And
Grady Cutlery is making knives that look just like that
yeah,
and selling them for how much on the secondary market?
yeah. And then it's a dual sheath, and I don't have it in it right now. I've got it stored separately, but there was what was it? A Forest Master, a Camp King, a camp knife,
Yes.
folding knife, that went down in here. So that,
So I got a story to kind of go along with that. James Stork, you've probably seen him in your comments or whatever, but
absolutely. Yep.
we were out at the flea market and he said, I got a set just like Tom got at a flea market or somewhere. And he just bought it real quick and he forgot to even look to see if the brands matched.
Yep.
Well, I think the knife was a hammer. The fixed blade, I believe, was an ideal or something, and then oh shoot, the folding knife was a ham. I don't know, it was mixed matched.
Okay.
And he was at the flea market, and I said, "Well, I know where there's one of those Camp King knives that you're wanting." And I just went over and bought it for him and handed it to him.
Right. Right.
The guy
Yep.
only wanted $5 for it. The blades were all there. Everything worked fine. So
The only company I know of now that's making a dual sheath is Case. They still have one with a hunting knife and a caper in it, or like a little bird and trout knife paired with it.
yeah, they're and cases breaking out. I seen an advertisement. I don't even know. Maybe North Star put it up. I'm not sure, but they're coming out with some newer fixed blades in 1095 carbon steel. I guess they are seeing what these other companies are doing,
Nice.
and it looks larger,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not a case fixed blade guy. I never have been. Now folding knives, I've got tons of those, but
Uh-huh.
I think I've only got one case fixed blade knife, honestly, and it was
I've
given to me by the guy I bought these knives off of.
I've got one, but I don't think I got it handy. Oh, actually I do.
I just got this little one here, and the same
Yeah.
guy I bought them those those westerns off of actually gave this to me.
Let me hold that up again. I'll put you on solo again.
It's just I think I showed this on live, and I think TK was like, "That's a bone and fin," but someone had went to town sharpening it.
Oh yeah.
It's got some meat taken off the bone, and I think someone gave this to him, and I think he just gifted it to me. But you know, because of that,
Well,
I like it. It's special to me. Anytime
uh,
someone gifts me something like that, I think it's really special.
Well, I'll show you. This was given to me. I didn't buy it. It was a gift.
Oh man.
So stacked leather there. Nice jimping there. What model is this? The 323, and I don't think they make these anymore. I believe this was from 2017 anyway, is what the advertising says on it.
Yeah.
It's an advertising knife, and there's the sheath. Now, you're in the Midwest also, so you're familiar with Morton Buildings.
Yep.
So this was probably a gift to Morton Buildings employees or people that bought a Morton building. They got one of these along with their building.
Oh yeah. That'd be a
So,
nice little gift to get with your building.
yep, it's a gorgeous knife. Yeah, but I'm like you. I buy some case. I'm into the Ictus series case knife,
Yeah.
pocket knives, but not so much into their fixed blade for whatever. But
Yeah, and Lee has some case fixed blades out there, but he can't move them. And he's even got buffalo horn
really,
fixed blades, and he's like, Jerry, I can't sell them. And I don't know why. He just, you know, a lot of people like you and me, I think when we think of case, we think of a case pocket knife.
does
Fixed
he
blade.
have? Does he happen to have any of the what does Case call it? Mini fin or little fin or whatever? Their little bird and trout knife in stacked
No,
leather.
no, his are a little larger, similar to what you have there.
I would like to pick up a case, the little fin or mini fin or whatever they call it. It's a sharp. I like bird and trout knives,
Yeah,
so it's stacked leather and it's a
something like this.
pretty. Yeah, let me see that here.
It's a little queen. Boy, this chat kind of went off the rails. I think this is a 45 through 55 because of the I think it's got the sideways Q on it. But someone put whitetail scales on this,
Oh my goodness!
so I would love to get them popped off there and get something else put on there. It looks a little better. I mean, because you can
Yeah,
just tell it just kind of dull.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it did a decent job at it, but I mean, you got some glue and stuff back here, and I haven't even took sandpaper to it. But the sheath, you know, you got the
Oh,
Q, and
that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I've got one of the Queen ones, but it's one of the Chinese made.
yeah. I
So,
got
but
I got that off of eBay for like $20.
well, I tell you what, if you would send that up to me, I will make sure and experiment and make some very nice scales for it. Now, it might take me 40 or 50 years now to get
Hey,
that done, but
yeah. Hey, and
yeah,
I tell you what, Georgia Adventure said he was going to send us one. He showed it on the live last week,
right.
brand new in the box, and it's a real USA Queen. And
Wow.
he said, I've got it. And he said, it was in my safe. And I just want to send it to you guys to give away because we're doing these longer term giveaways now
Sure.
where we're doing raffle tickets for anyone who makes a certain comment through the live. Like right now, we got the Kaiser Roach, and anyone who types the word Kaiser in each week, I go through all the comments, and whoever puts the word Kaiser in, I give them a raffle ticket, and one ticket per episode. And then
Sure.
after a month, we're going to draw, and whoever the lucky winner is going to get this.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah, let's talk about Happy Hour Live.
okay.
Go ahead and tell us all about it. If I'm almost guessing everyone that views my channel is viewing you and Boston Blade Review is,
Yeah.
but just in case someone out there doesn't know about Happy Hour Live, why don't you talk about you and Boston Blade Review there?
Well, myself and Boston Blade Reviews host it. We like to have a guest. We try to do one every week now, but it's Sundays at 5:30 Eastern, 4:30 Central, and it's just usually two or three guys that just talk knives. We like I said, we try to have a guest every week now. There are going to be weeks where it's just me and him because I have so much stuff that I really need to show. But this week we've got Baxter's Blades coming on, and I think this is the first live he's going to do. And I just kind of reach out to him because he's kind of a newer channel, and he's right there at that point where he could just start exploding.
Right,
Um,
right.
and I think I got a lot in common with him because of the knives he buys, and he's into motorcycles like Honda motorcycles. So I can't wait to pick his brain. It's usually just a 90-minute show. Tom, you've been on it twice now.
Right.
So We try to keep it to 90 minutes. That way we're not, and we usually have a giveaway every single episode. Thanks to the people who donate, like Randy at EDC Leatherworks, Georgia Adventure, JO Ventures, Jesse McJames actually donated that Kaiser Roach, Jersey Knife Guy, North Star Knife Reviews made some killer ferro rods.
Oh yeah.
Ben Baker sending something now. There's just so many people, and also we started getting stuff for a Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I'll just grab this stuff here real quick. But we got a couple of pink knives, along with some other stuff. We've already started accruing. So next month we're going to do the same kind of raffle where we'll just have a word that you got to type in. But we got this buck bantam. Sarah actually gave me this. It was in her truck.
Wow.
And, gosh.
Hey, Jerry, just before I forget, I'm glad you brought that up because, oh, nice.
Yeah, Dwayne Letterman mailed these to me yesterday. I didn't even know he had my address, but I got to thank him somehow.
That's nice. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to send something to contribute to the breast cancer awareness. My wife is a survivor of that, and that's a very important cause.
Yeah.
So it's going to be next month, so I got a little bit of time yet to get something to you.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of time. And,
okay. I'm glad you brought that up because I've been meaning to. I'll probably order it wherever I order it and have them just ship it directly to you rather than no reason to pay for shipping twice, right?
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I'll order stuff for certain people. I just have it shipped right to their house and just say, hey, there's a tracking number. And I'll be like, what?
Yeah.
But I thought it was just really great how people kind of jumped on board with that. And as you know, that's what Sarah's mom fought at 3 or 4 times, and finally, it wasn't the breast cancer that got her; it was the treatment for the breast cancer that kind of in the end took her. And I don't know if you've seen pictures of her father's barn that I put on the community page.
Yes.
So it's really something close to her. So, and it was actually Jesse McJames' idea. Him and his wife were watching a show and was like, hey, my wife thinks you guys should do something for breast cancer awareness. And they just hit me like a ton of bricks. And then we just kind of started getting stuff. And it'll be a good time.
Well, I just want to remind everybody, 4:30 Central Time every Sunday, Happy Hour Live with Big J and Boston Blade Review. I thoroughly enjoy their show. As you said, I've been on twice. And man, that hour and a half flies by. It's like you're just getting started and just getting into it. And time's up. But I thoroughly enjoy being on their show. And I don't always get to listen to it live, but I try to watch the replays and add a comment on there. Sometimes it's hard to actually catch it live, or I'm driving down the road just lurking.
Yeah.
Let's see. Lurking. I think I'm coming up with a new abbreviation because I did just a very impromptu live yesterday. A lot of people said lurking. So I think I'm going to come up with a new abbreviation, LWD, lurking while driving.
Yeah.
So if you see that on your live comment from me, LWD, that means I'm listening in and trying to support your brother. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just a great time. And like with Baxter's Blades, like I said, I think he's got around 5, maybe 400 subs. So we're going to try to get him to explode.
I think he's getting close to 5.
Yeah, he's putting in a lot of work.
Close to 5. Yep. Yeah, another good up and coming channel there. Baxter's Blade. Yep. So
there's quite a few.
Jerry, I wanna thank you so much for joining me here this morning. I'm gonna stop it just a few minutes early so I can get a little bit of editing done and get this one uploaded.
Gotcha.
Thanks for all the great info on the Western knives. Thanks for sharing your knives with us. I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy having a peek at those.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I thoroughly enjoy communicating with you, and you reach out to me when I wasn't feeling my greatest, and I really appreciate that your friendship, Tom. So,
how have you been doing? Have you getting along okay?
Yeah, since I started my diet back to that low fat, low grease, it seems to be helping. And I had an appointment with the surgeon last week. They got to go through all the hoops and get me set up to get it removed. So just a waiting game now.
Yeah, well, good deal. Good deal. Glad to see you smiling.
Yeah, it feels a lot better.
It sure does. So, okay, everyone. This has been another Saturday chat with Big J here. And until next time, have a very delightful day. We'll see you, Jerry.
See you later.